Welcome to the Tech School Podcast powered by DSDT. Carlos, Josh, top of the hour. Good afternoon.
Top of the day, sir.
Top of the day for you. Top of the hour for me. You know what time my day starts.
I'm with you. I've been up about that long. I've been going since about 11 last night.
Ooh, okay. You got me beat this time around.
Yeah, I have a couple projects that I'm working on, and it seems that the only time I can get to my thoughts are in the wee hours of the morning. So I literally push through the whole 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock time when I would normally either go back to sleep or I would go to the gym or something. Today I had to get it in because I had places to be, people to see, and things to do.
Boom. And that's how it is in any situation. When your mind really gets to working, you got to hammer down. You got to get into it deeply, because those thoughts, 2 hours later, a day later, you may say, wait, what exactly was I trying to get at? What was I trying to do? Momentum. You have to, strike when the iron is hot.
Yeah. That's exactly, for the most part, how I am.
Right. Hey, Carlos, so what's going on at DSDT? What's new in the past few weeks? What's happening?
Oh man, we have a whole lot going on around here. Mainly, we're in the process of bringing on new instructors as we are building out these programs that we have. Mobile iOS, the BITS program, we've had more enrollments into it. And so I'm just trying to spend as much time as possible trying to bring aboard new instructors. And believe me, it is a full-time job within itself. Does anybody know anything about this big, workforce development boom that's going on in the community, right?
There are a lot of jobs.
Okay, so we hear there's a lot of jobs, and I got a lot of jobs, but it's hard finding people. It's hard finding people. I was talking to my admissions representative team this morning, and we made a post as we're generating leads for students. And they were one of the posts that they made. It was like, I only generated like 63 leads. I was like, you know why? Because nobody's looking for that type of job anymore. Everybody's looking for remote work.
Yes.
It has to be remote.
It's time to come back to the office.
It is. Now, hold on, Josh. Now, hold on. Now, I question that. And I'm gonna tell you
okay,
why.
maybe there are hybrid situations. Okay, look, what we're doing with the podcast, we're feeling like, wow, this virtual thing is definitely something we want to keep mixed into being in the studio as well, because it just has a vibe. It has convenience for our guests. So we're going back and forth like with that. Okay, so when it works, yes. But you have individuals who just don't want to come back to the office at all. They feel they can stay at home and do their job just as well going forward.
And they lying.
They're lying to themselves. They are lying to themselves.
They lying. You got to come back to work. But the reason I say that I don't know about it, and I do this, I'm sorry. I got to do it, y'all. I got to do it.
Go for it.
And so I don't know if you guys have been watching like I have what's going on in China and on the other side of the world with another outbreak of COVID. I think it's vitamin B,
BA2,
B something.
BA2 is the stealth variant BA2.
Right. So
that does sound like a Decepticon.
I'm looking at what's going on over yonder, and I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but I say eventually.
With that being said, Carlos, the medical experts are saying this new variant, BA2, appears to be more contagious than Omicron, but not more severe. With that being said,
what you saying? Go back to work anyways?
Go back. It's time to go back to work. I was on the air today, and we're back sitting next to each other.
Okay.
And I made a joke about last year we did it back in the summer for maybe about a week or so, and then we went back to social distancing. It's just good to see that we're back together, doing it the way we're accustomed to doing it, and let's make this here to stay. At some point, we've had this discussion plenty of times. COVID is not going anywhere. We have to learn to live with it. The flu isn't going anywhere. The common cold isn't going anywhere. Measles isn't going anywhere.
Mhm.
It's this illness that we have to learn how to deal with. And medical experts are working constantly on better ways to treat it.
So are you saying that I'm going to need a fourth shot?
I don't know.
I'm just
I don't,
it's you
I
in
don't
the
know.
medical community are having these conversations.
Here's what's crazy. When I got my booster shot, I came home, I was doing a few things, cleaning up, I had the news on, and there was something, and it was the day that I got my booster.
Okay.
There was something about, medical experts are saying you may need a fourth shot. I looked at that television and I said, no way. The booster shot put me in a coma. That one, like, bam. Right. I was like, whoa, hey, okay. 1, 2, biscuit. Let's go.
Right. Yeah. I truly believe that it is going to become like the seasonal flu shot, which I'll be honest, I didn't get this year. Mm-hmm. I didn't get the flu shot. I got enough booster shots and flu shots. I was always the type of guy that if it came time to go get a vaccination, like a flu shot or whatever, I didn't get one. And I didn't get one because everybody else got one. Why I need one if everybody else got one?
There you go.
Right.
Well, even with mandates being lifted, regardless of your vaccination status, that's kind of, are we approaching the endemic? We've been using that word in the public, the endemic.
Yep. I say that there is a possibility that that we may, and if so, then I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. You know, I've been ready to go since day one. Everybody shut it down anyways. So, you know, all you got to do is follow me on social media. I go everywhere anyways. And the only time I remember to wear the mask is when somebody in the feed say, Carlos, make sure you're putting your mask on. You know, I mean, I'm so over it. So, I mean, it's time. It's time. I truly believe that. I believe that. Amen. So, all right. So today we are going to have a special guest. And this special guest is a friend of sorts.
Okay.
And the reason I really wanted him to come on is because I really don't believe no one knows as much about blockchain development, as much about software development as he does. I remember a few years back when I first met the young man, he came in and he was telling me about this startup idea that he had. And, you know, at the time, you know, I was green. I ain't know what he's talking about. I'm like, yeah. And then it was like, when I fell down the rabbit hole, it was like, damn, Kevon was on to something. Hold on now. And I hurry up and called him. And I was like, listen, what were you telling me a year and a half ago? Because then it started to make sense, you know, and even more so as you begin to watch what's happening, whether it be in the media world with NBA top shots, and NFL all day, these NFTs and these Web 3.0s and these metaverses. These are terms that we can't get away from now. And $1 to a donut, most of us still have yet to fall down the rabbit hole in the sense of what is an NFT? You know, Google, what is Bitcoin? I mean, I remember when I was out in California a few months ago, and in the store's window, there was a sign that said Bitcoin here. I said, wow. You know, because I haven't seen that around the city of Detroit. Not saying that it's not here, but I haven't seen it. You know, so I want to make sure that the community that we have these conversations for are being well prepared as well as educated. And what better way to do it by other than bringing on those experts of sorts in order to have these discussions. So with that all being said, as a segue, why don't we bring on my good friend, Mr. Kevon Butler.
Good afternoon, Kevon. How's it going? I think you may be muted.
My bad.
Technology.
I'm so used to Zoom. Like on Zoom and stuff, you get phone calls, you press mute real quick, step away. Like I had got a phone call while you guys were talking. I was like, oh shoot, let me put it on mute just in case.
Hey, listen, you know what? And it's funny you should even mention that, because today, for the first time, I had to hop into a meeting and they were on go to meeting. I can't remember. I had to download the application and get it. I'm like, man, what the heck is all this stuff?
Nah,
Don't
for
everybody
sure.
just use Zoom? Everybody, that should be like a standard across the board. Everybody has to use Zoom from this point on.
Yeah,
I decree that.
I prefer
Zoom is like Google.
Meets.
Yeah,
I prefer Google Meets though, because Google has created a plethora of like free software for people to use on a daily basis that they make it to where it's affordable, like it's free, right? So like with Zoom, your first hour, I think it's like hour is free. Then anything after that, it costs. For the average person that might want to like just chop in and talk to various people, they might not have the money to do so. So it's like I like Google software more personally.
And you know what? That was the main reason why we started out as far as the school with Google, because of some of the free applications that they had. But I learned quick in a hurry that sometimes free is not necessarily always the best.
True. That's true.
So I'm in the process now of having the entire team navigate over from Google to Microsoft, because we get a whole lot of other kinks and perks with the Microsoft platform for education, as opposed to simply Google. And besides, Google Workspaces, they're upcharging me now, and they want me to pay for things I've never paid for in the past. I just feel like, no, I'm leaving. I'm going to something else. Right?
Yeah, I get that.
So, Kevon, why don't you start off by telling everyone, and I see that I got smiley faces, we got hearts today. For the first time I ever noticed that someone actually sent me a heart on here. Wow. So I don't know if it's me or if it's for Josh.
It's probably for me, but it's cool, man.
There it goes for Kevon.
Right. But Kevon, I want you to kind of give us some backstory about who you are, what it is that you do, and why you are here having this conversation about technology with Josh and I.
So a little bit about me. I'm a nerd, man. I'm a super nerd. I absorb information at a crazy rate. I can break down things that most people can't. That's just always been a gift of mine. How I got here was just by divine intervention, honestly. I feel like me and you bumped paths and during a time in my life where I was questioning a lot of things. I was questioning the route I was on, the path I was on. Just trying to stay on the right path, get on the right path so that I can continue to move forward towards greatness. And, our paths cross. And ever since then, man, it's like, that's been like a wake up sign for me to just keep going. Ever since I met you, honestly, we've been just, tied in, like regardless of how often we talk or whatever, it's always been like a big brother, little brother type relationship with us both. How I got here overall, I was always a technology person. I was always a person of consuming knowledge as well. My mom, she was a DPS school teacher. Well, she is. She taught me a lot about technology, and I just kind of ran with it, surpassed her over time. Yeah.
So when you say that your mom was into technology, kind of qualify that for me, because I know the backstory, right?
Yeah.
But
for
most people who don't understand.
Yeah, so my mom's a technology coach for DPS. She works for Base Academy. So she's like the person, like the go-to person for everything technology and Base, right? So when I was a kid, I'll never forget, I attended Ludington Magnet Middle School. When I was a kid, she was like pushing me the importance of like learning how to type, learning how to do certain things. But then it's like I grasp things so fast that it gets boring. So I need what's next. And she would just constantly tell me like, oh, this is the next step. This is the next step. This is what you want to do next. And it's like she just kept building on it to where it was like I built the solid foundation, then I just took off and ran, and I was just like unstoppable at that point.
So would you say that you were unstoppable? Does that mean that you kind of pick up a lot of the skill set that she was trying to impart as far as technology?
Yep. So a lot of stuff she instilled in me was like a lot of stuff was just basic technology practice, right? And that built the foundation for my life overall. Because once you got the foundation, once you have the basics, like understanding of the basics really to the point where it's like just second nature, everything else just falls into place at that point.
Okay. So, all right. So is your mom a programmer?
No, she's not.
So where did I get that
Yeah.
from? So what?
Kevon, here's a question I have. Did your mother ever break down the significance of digital divide and how it impacts our community?
No, so that came from my curiosity.
Okay.
That aspect of my development skills, or just my understanding of technology and how things work, that came from me poking and prying into how things work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm the type of person, like, when I see something running, I'm instantly like if someone sends me a new app, they're like, oh, this app is so cool, look how pretty it is, look at the pictures, look at this. I'm like, what the hell is in the background that's what's like really, like, what's in the background that's making these wheels turn like this? Like, I'm genuinely intrigued now. I'm going to be up for, the next 12 hours trying to figure out what it is back there that's making these wheels turn. So that's just how I've always been. Like, it's broken down that way, from technology to stocks to crypto to everything I've ever done in life. Honestly, even football. When I was in football, I wanted to understand different gaps. What's the probability of certain linemen doing certain things in certain circumstances that I have an advantage of to get to the quarterback. It was just breaking down, and I realized that life is just about really just understanding the fundamentals and breaking it down to make it easier for you.
Okay, well,
details.
To that end, man, break this down for us and help us to have a better understanding. And I'm speaking even more so for me than Josh. What the heck is this blockchain thing?
You read my mind, Carlos. What is it? What is it exactly? Break that down for us, Carlos. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, what is blockchain?
All right, so look, this is the real simple way to look at the blockchain. Think of the blockchain as that, let's say you want to go downtown, right? You want to get court records, but you got to deal with this person, right? That has this old, outdated technology that nobody's even using, right? Like, nobody's really using this technology, but for some reason, our systems, they're running it, right? It's this old, outdated stuff, and they're like, oh, hey, let me type this in, let me do a search. Oh, I can't find this, I can't find that. I have to go to my hierarchy, right? But in the blockchain, it's completely eliminated. In the blockchain, you don't have a use for any mediarity, nothing, no person in the middle. The blockchain, if it's on the ledger, is there.
So what when you say a ledger, what's a ledger?
So the blockchain is broken down into a ledger, right? So within the blockchain, it's a ledger of authentication. So once something is completed, once a task is completed, a task is done, it lives on a blockchain. The blockchain is now you're assigned a number. Basically, you're able to search it by the long digit number, or different hash IDs, or just different things, but usually it's just a long, what is it, like 36, I think it's like 32 digits long. I'm not sure exactly, because I'm utilizing tools to make mine shorter now. So now you can just type my name in and it comes up.
So I'm trying to picture this visually as far as what a blockchain looks like.
Yeah.
Can you help us out a little bit?
What it looks like? Oh man. So it's tough to say exactly what it actually looks like.
I know it's a broad question.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because like how it looks like, I'm assuming to most people it looks like those crazy movies where you see a person hacking and you see a bunch of numbers coming across the board.
I'm thinking the Matrix right now.
Yeah, like the Matrix. Yeah. But no, it's not. It's not as complicated as that. Honestly, it's not at all.
So, is there any way that if I had an idea that I wanted to blockchain, is it as simple as sitting down and piecing it together? Or so what's all the hype around, coming up with these blockchain businesses that I'm constantly hearing about?
Well, because there's new technology and it eliminates a middleman. Like, the verification process is awesome, right? So like, you could take something as simple as let's take a Secretary of State visit, right? Let's say you, Carlos, you want to go get you a new license, right? But in order for you to get this new license, you have to bring what? Verification tools. You have to bring a second form of ID, right? You have to bring a bill, utility bill in your name. You have to bring just certain verification steps for them to verify that you are who you say you are, and you own basically you own yourself, right? You have to bring these documents in. What the blockchain does is now it's living on a digital ledger. So now you don't need to bring any of these things. As long as you have access to it and you can show it, it's there.
That's powerful. That's powerful to me. I was talking to an attorney friend of mine yesterday, and I made the leap to say this.
Yeah.
I think we need to get rid of courts.
Oh, it's a huge step.
I think we need to get rid of courts, but I mean, I know that to a large degree that won't happen for many years, right?
Yeah, nah.
But I think that's what blockchain technology affords us to a degree.
So what proceedings are virtual? Is that what you're alluding to? Like more like we got a snippet of that during the pandemic, or you're talking about something?
I'm totally. Let's take it a step further, right?
Okay.
Why don't we just take the middleman out of the process altogether?
The middleman being whom?
And that's what blockchain does.
The
blockchain
middleman
takes away
being the court process. For instance, how many times do you have the little young guy that gets the speeding ticket or even gets whatever the case in a suburbs of Dallas, Texas, right? Gets slaps on the wrist, nothing too much happens to him. But then we have another demographic get the same ticket, same circumstances, and he gets sent to prison for 20 years.
Exactly. And see, that's the beauty of blockchain. Blockchain eliminates the unbiased. Like that's what it would do, because in the eyes of the court, right? When you go before a court, like I mean, me and you are no strangers, right? We're no strangers to that. We've seen the biased opinions of judges. We've seen the biased opinions of prosecutors, right? So with a blockchain, let's say for a court system, at that point, then you would literally just implement the overall rules, the overall guidelines, overall sanctions, and there's no emotion tied to it. That's the problem with probably like 90% of America is all emotion. People are reacting to things based off of emotion. They're judging people based off of emotion. Like if you go before a judge and you have a home invasion case, let's say you have a home invasion case, right? Let's just throwing it out there. This judge home was broken into over the summer. They have an unbiased opinion, whether they know it or not. It's just subconsciously there. There's no way to get rid of it.
Yeah,
there's no way to.
But
because their home was violated over the summertime, and now you come before them as a first-time felon, you might have just been like, look, I fell across hard time. There's no reason to justify it, right? But it's like you made a mistake. You might acknowledge that mistake, but because the stuff happened to the judge in the summertime, now they're like, oh, 10 years. Whoa, what? Like what? No, like I'm 17 years old. I can't get HIDA. I can't get nothing. I gotta go to 10 years in prison at 17 years old for a one-time mistake. No rehabilitation program. No, I can't go to DSDT and learn IT and possibly revamp my life and get some cool mentors or nothing. I gotta go to prison. Prison does not rehabilitate anyone. Not even mentally.
That does tap into the conversation of prison reform. I've done several interviews with White Boy Rick and a few others who have expressed the need for prison reform. I remember one gentleman by the name of Michael Thompson, who I spoke with last year or the year before. He went to prison for 25 years for selling marijuana. The warrant to go inside of his home, police found an old gun. It was a case of charges stacked on top of charges to where this man went to prison for 25 plus years for a non-violent offense. And he was in general population with the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's not rehabilitation. That's sending someone who made a mistake 25 years ago for something that is now legal today and could have potentially made him worse. It definitely did a number on him psychologically, as you can imagine. Yeah. But alluding to your point, where is the rehabilitation?
The rehabilitation comes from different programs. Actually showing people there's another way, right? The problem with how does the blockchain eliminate bias exactly?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a decent question. I mean, it eliminates bias because it takes out the human element of it. When you take away human element, it's no longer biased.
Yep.
The only part that now it can be some type of bias because it also comes down to the programmer. the programmer has a type of bias, then now that comes into play. But that's where you have like a board of sorts that can review things to make sure it's an unbiased actual coder or unbiased programmer of sorts that's building this technology. But that's how you get rid of bias, though.
Here's another question.
I'm
sorry, I was just reading the question.
No,
I was like,
no. We love this interaction.
One of the things that the attorney reminded me of was the very institution of the Constitution was written for all intents and purposes with hypocrisy in it, bigotry, all these things that we try to get away from. And in order to try to come up with an infallible system, you may not be able to do it as long as there's some human intervention. So we agree that that's probable. Where I see the tide of the tail with blockchain is that you get an opportunity to affect more fairness in the system, regardless. Like, I'll give you a prime example, a great example. Why the hell every year do I have to pay registration for a vehicle that I own? Why?
Man, that's just
registered already.
Laws, man. I hate that myself, dude. Speaking of that, I just went today because my 31st birthday was last week. I just went today to go renew my tag. Thank you, I appreciate it. I just went to go renew my tags, and then I had to get a new plate because something was wrong with my plate or something. They said I had to, whatever they said. I was just like, whatever. How much is it going to cost? But I had to pay like $200. I'm just like, why do I got to pay this every single year to renew? And they're like, oh, do you want a Parks and Recreation pass? Like, for what? We only get like 4 months of like good weather where we can actually go experience these things. Why would I pay for that? So in essence, what you're alluding to is what we already know, right? Blockchain is a form of decentralization. It's getting away from the middleman, whether the middleman be the government, whether the middleman be the bank, whether the middleman be whatever, because we take all of those transactions, we place them onto a ledger that Josh can go and look anytime up and say that, hey, this car is registered to Carlos. Kevon did, his birthday just passed, and here's the information. Why the hell do I have to keep paying for it, man? It's just taxation, So I think that at some point, these systems, these technologies will afford us to get away from some of the past behaviors that we haven't been able to until now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. One person I can see innovating that is probably Elon Musk.
Okay.
That's one person I can see.
Why you say why Elon?
I mean, he doesn't care for the government. He lives by his own rules. He doesn't agree with a lot of things. He's who I would want to be, honestly. Like I get that kind of money. It's like what can you really say to me? It's like they hit him with a fine. He's like, all right, it's a tax write-off. It's a business expense. Like, I'm not tripping. Like, it is what it is. But honestly, with what he's doing with technology as far as cars and stuff like that, what he's doing with those type of cars, I can see him like how Tesla, right? So Tesla's already starting a form of decentralization, right? They're getting away from standard insurance practices. So they're launching their own insurance company where they're judging how you drive your physical car, and they're giving you a rate according to that. So they're taking the technology from your car, saying, hey, this person hits hard brakes. This person hits sharp turns. This person used ludicrous mode way too much. We're going to give you a higher rate. But if you get this down, we'll give you a lower rate. Now you got a person B that has a Tesla. They're making stops when they're supposed to. No sharp turns, no crazy acceleration, no accidents. They're like, oh, hey, here's a $30 a month insurance bill, $40 a month insurance bill. I got a friend in California. Drive safe. He uses autopilot a lot. His insurance bill with Tesla right now is $40 a month.
Wow.
That's what he pays for insurance.
Wow. I wish my insurance was $40.
Ooh, my insurance is $300, $351 a month.
Yeah. Insurance is high in Michigan. Hey, gentlemen. Okay, so Carlos, we got to pay some bills. We got to pay some bills. We have to pay some bills. So we're going to take a few minutes. We'll be gone for 2 minutes, pay a few bills, and then we're going to come back, look at more of these questions, hear from the people, and we're going to talk some tech news as well. We'll be right back.
Right now, there are job opportunities in the tech industry we can train you for. In our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility, classes are beginning monthly in cybersecurity, drone technology, digital marketing, computer programming, film production, and many, many others. If you live in the Metro Detroit area and you're looking to learn a skill local employers are demanding, but one that isn't that of a laborer, at DSDT, you can learn a lot in less than a year.
Hello, I'm Jason Stemmer. I served 5 years as a combat engineer in the United States Army. In the summer of 2019, I joined DSDT to learn advancing technologies in computer support, networking, cybersecurity, many valuable tools in digital media. DSDT is partnered with a lot of veteran-friendly employers, and with the help of DSDT's job placement assistance, I was able to quickly begin work in the IT field. I'm very pleased with this direction, as there is unlimited potential in the technology field, with no signs of growth or demand ever slowing. So come in for a visit, take a tour, and schedule a meeting with an advisor. DSDT really changed my life for the better, and it can change yours.
At the Detroit School for Digital Technology, we strive to provide students who are willing to learn new and exciting skill sets with a quality education in cutting-edge film technology to include recording in HD and 4K formats, drone videography, editing, and state-of-the-art color grading. Our instructors are friendly, knowledgeable industry professionals who are willing to teach. For more information, call us at 313-263-4200 or visit us on the web at dsdt.tech.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Great conversation. Let's continue it. Okay. There was one question that I want to bring up that I think we didn't tackle. Did we not attack this one? How does blockchain eliminate bias exactly?
Oh, we did. I said that how it eliminates human emotion, right? Mm-hmm. So emotion in life, really, emotion in business, emotion in life, it does not mix. Honestly, it's a recipe for disaster. When you go into things very emotionally, it causes for unprecedented events to happen, right? Like if you're super angry at something and you go before, you're reacting off emotion. That's just how it always happens. But if you eliminate emotion, it's no longer a bias. You're going into it with a level head. You're going into a different way. This is how the blockchain can do it, because if you have an unbiased, now the only thing bad about it is the programmer.
he keep reminding us about that. Yeah, are you a biased programmer? Let's ask that question.
No. I personally have no bias, right? I have no bias. I have no type of bias towards anything. I have no religious bias. I have no political bias. I have no type of anything. I'm open-minded to everything. So that's just how I've always been. My mom raised me to not be particular a certain way. And I just kind of took it and ran with it. And it got worse over the years, because now I just really I'm like, it happens. I mean, it's sad to say, but it's made me to the point where I just look at certain things and I just be like, and it happens. It's a part of business. It's a part of life. You just got to move forward. What's next?
Mm-hmm. All right. What about
if you take an unbiased programmer, or because everything ties down to programming, even with AI, you could build an AI that's perfect. It's beautiful. Hell, even Alexa, you could build her perfect, beautiful. But if the programmer behind Alexa is biased, she will also be biased.
Yeah.
What about security concerns? We have a question right here on that topic. Any security issues?
Security concerns all boils down to the user. Like, that's ultimately what it is. Like, it's up to you as a user. So if you're easily tricked by, simple emails saying, hey, your account's been compromised, please click this link here and verify your seed phrase, I will be first one to say right here, right now, you should never give your seed phrase to anyone. If you open up a crypto wallet or any type of anything and you have a seed phrase, please do not give this to anyone. Keep it to yourself, lock it away in your safe, put it in your will. So when you die, you can pass it on to your remainers that's alive. But honestly, the cybersecurity overall is all reliant on the user, the person overall. It even ties down to Web 2.0. So it's making it a lot simpler with Web 3.0, because you got a seed phrase, right? Then you have your password. Now with Web 2.0, you have a ton of passwords for every site that you're on, right? Everything you go to, you got a password for. You go to Facebook, you got a password. Instagram,
That's me.
you got a password. You
That's
go to
me.
all these different places, right?
That's me.
But this is where they get you, because what happens is Web 2.0, they want you to be lazy. They want you to say, hey, I want to log in here with my Facebook. So now all it takes is a person to access your Facebook and they got access to everything.
Mm-hmm.
But with blockchain, it's a little bit harder to do that, because you have a seed phrase, you have typical things that's kind of, you shouldn't really just pass out. Like treat your seed phrase like your social security number.
Okay, so can you explain to everybody what the hell is a seed phrase? You just running with it, and what is Web 3.0? And man, come on now, slow us down. We are beginners.
Yes.
My bad, but
tech for dummies. Tech for dummies.
So I don't really talk to people that much. So it's like it's tough. But
what was the first question you brought up, Carlos, before Web 3.0? What was the
phrase?
Okay.
Yeah. What is a seed phrase for those who don't understand what it possibly is?
So seed phrase is a very weird combination of words, right? That equals out to being able to access ultimately your crypto wallet, that lives on the blockchain. So let's say you might have what I have on my desktop right here. I have a MetaMask wallet and I have a fan wallet attached to my browser right now. So with these two wallets that I have came a seed phrase. So if I can't access it through my password, now it's a series of seed phrase that I have to use to be able to access it. Now, the thing is, if you lose your seed phrase and you don't know your password, you ultimately lost that wallet forever. You'll never be able to access it any other way. It's no, let us send a text message, like how Facebook and Instagram, if you're like, hey, I lost my password to Facebook, and they're like, oh, we can send a password to your phone number. Oh, I don't have my phone. Oh, we can send a password to your email. No, it's none of that with no other crypto wallets, right? So that's the thing. Like with Web 2.0, it's always a but to it. It's like, oh, we could do this. Oh, we could do this to accommodate you. You don't have access to your email, we can send it to your phone number. You don't have access to your phone number, we can send it to a verified person that's attached to your account. Maybe we could send this to them. It's like, why is that even standard practice to actually being able to access information? Like, why is that even a standard practice? It should just be like, if I can't access it, delete it. Like, that's how I feel. If I can't access it, nobody else should be able to access it either. So that's what the seed phrase does. The seed phrase enables it to the point where it's like, if you don't know your password, you have a seed phrase. If you don't have your seed phrase, you lost access. Sorry, start over, do it all over again. Whatever you did before, let's do it all over again. But this time, keep access to your seed phrase.
So the seed phrase, because I actually have an account, a MetaMask account. My seed phrase, I think it may be like 15 words or something.
Yeah, it's usually like 15. It's like 16 words, if I'm not mistaken.
It's like this long, and it's random. Doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
it's
I
like,
see it.
It's like bubble. It'll be like bubble leaf, orange, pineapple. Like it's something you just can never guess. You can never guess it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it
barely remember yourself.
Right. I'm not trying to remember it.
I know mine.
I'm not trying to. I have it on a couple of devices that I access, and that's where it will remain until I don't even know my social security number sometimes.
Hey, it's so funny. It's so funny, man. When I was getting my tags and my plate today, they asked me to write down my driver's license number, and I know it by heart.
I promise I don't know that.
And the guy looked at me like, he's like, you know this by heart? And I was like, because he passed me back my ID to be it. I'm like, I already know it. It's cool.
Yeah. See, I don't know my driver's license number, but I tell you, boy, it's just something about that old school hip hop. I know all those songs. I know them all. So here's a question.
Wait, well, Web 3.0, we need to hit that. That was a good question you raised earlier too.
So Biden said that he wanted there to be an investigation as far as cryptocurrencies, right?
Okay.
And there was a lot to do about this over the last few weeks. And so the question for you, Kevon, is why is this important? I kind of get it personally, but for the audience, why is it important that the White House now, or our government now, is starting to kind of take a look at these digital currencies to kind of figure out whether we should have one. I mean, tell the truth, we already had one anyway with fiat currency anyway, let me tell it. But why is this so important when you start hearing the president talk about these cryptos in such a way?
I mean, in my opinion, as a person that's for decentralization, they want to know how much money you have, right? They want to be able to know what your net worth is. They want to be able to know what money you have tucked away in certain places. Like, I look at crypto like the money in the mattress, right? How people back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 90s, like they were like, oh, this mattress money. Keep putting this money up. Nobody's going to know it's there. I'm just going to save it there. It's the same way with crypto. You know, you got certain cryptos that are good stored values that you don't have to worry about sometimes. Like, so I look at that overall as them being able to monitor. Like, a prime example is the Prime Minister Trudeau from Canada, right? He wanted, I ain't gonna say he wanted, he said that he was going to cut people's money off for not being vaccinated. Like, that's not cool, right?
That's
But
a dictatorship.
He has access to everyone's information. And that's the thing within the US here. They don't have access to everything because it's a certain thing called KYC. KYC is called Know Your Customer, right? So when you go to a bank and you apply for a bank account, right, it's standard practice. You're like, oh, put in my social security number, put in all my information, fill out this form. What they do is they do a credit background check on you to see if you're a worthy banker, if you're worthy of donning their name of a Chase Bank or Bank of America or Wells Fargo. But what it really is they just want to know how much money do you have coming in. They just want to see it. They want to be able to see and document it and send it in like, hey, this person had 100K coming in every month over the past 6 months, blah, blah, blah. We have access to these accounts. So guess what happens? When you piss the government off in a certain way, they're like, hey, cut his accounts off.
Okay, so listen, and so I'm following you 1,010%, but here's the ultimate question for me. So I did a transaction from Binance,
okay,
in which I traded some of the ETH that I had for USD, right? The transaction, gassed me how much ever, and I was able to get it back into my Binance account. But the question becomes, in order to sign up for Binance, I got to provide documentation.
Exactly.
So
Binance is now a typical bank. You look at
right.
Binance like the Chase Bank of crypto, right?
Right. So it does me no good if I have 100 million, in crypto, and I'm moving it around from here to there. All of these marketplaces are still running tabs on me, and they're going to report it back to Biden,
but not
to
all
let
of
him know what I got in my till.
But there are platforms that do not do KYC. And those are the platforms like Binance, right? So Binance has two platforms. They have a Binance.us,
right?
And they have the regular Binance. Regular Binance does not make you sign up for KYC to use it, but you may need a VPN to do it, to mask your stuff and show that you're showing from a different country, basically, that does not have KYC. But by
would I simply be able to use Brave?
You said what happened?
Would I simply be able to use a Brave?
So Brave is a VPN browser? No, probably not. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I use what's the VPN I use? I use CyberGhost. That's one I use, and it's another one I use. I can't remember it though, on the top of my head. But I have
listen, for you guys that don't know what we're talking about, all you got to do is just Google it. If you don't know what CyberGhost is, and I always tell you guys this too, Google it, figure it out. Don't wait for the black Mark Zuckerberg over here to drop some jewels to really explain it to you in detail. This is a session where we're having this conversation, and you definitely want to go back and do your due diligence to figure it out.
But it's like for it's platforms like KuCoin, KuCoin. That one does not. They don't they don't make you do KYC. You don't have to.
That's why I'm going.
And up until recently, when FTX got their big partnerships and started slapping their name across different buildings, like the Miami Heat Stadium and stuff like that, they didn't have KYC either. But the thing is, they're trying to go public in the U.S. markets, so now they have to implement KYC. But companies like Binance, that's the reason why that's why they got Binance.us, because ultimately their ultimate goal is to go public in the US markets. So they're like, hey, let's make a US one that's pretty much up to their standards. Now they have no reason to pretty much hit us with red tape later on across our IPO process. But yeah, man, it's platforms that don't do KYC. I personally don't use them. I mean, I personally use them. I don't use places that use KYC. Just me personally.
Okay.
That's the whole point. It takes away the point of cryptocurrency at that point. Like, what's the point of using crypto? If you're gonna sit there and let the government track every single thing you do, and they want you to pay taxes on it. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm a tax avoidance.
You're not tax evader. You're just avoiding.
I'd just rather avoid it if I can and hit it on the back end. I'm not invasion. I'm not invading taxes.
Right. So if so, a few weeks ago, the White House said that they were going to cut out Russia being able to access a lot of their investments, a lot of their accounts, and within a few hours, we started to hear about, well, Russia really didn't give a hell anyways, because they had all this crypto and NFTs going on. So what was all this about?
That was just Biden. I mean, in my opinion, that was just Biden trying to show that he has some type of power for people, for the average American that's here working, that's living the average American life, for them not to be scared, for him to be able to save face and say, hey, I'm controlling the situation, when realistically he has no control over the situation at all.
Really? What do you mean by that? What do you mean he doesn't have any control over the situation at all?
That's an interesting take.
Biden has no control over Russia in any type of way. What is he like? What power does he have over them? I look at Russia like Bang, right? And then look at United States as the guy that Bang crushed his throat. he's like, you have money, right? That gives you power over me.
Ooh, the Dark Knight Rises. I remember that scene, hotel room. Yep.
Exactly. Like that. Like, he's like, I paid you a small fortune. He's like, does that give you power over me? And they're like, and that's when he realizes that,
you're alluding to money doesn't fully equal power.
It does not. No.
Yeah.
The United States has a dying dollar that we've been using for years and years and decades and centuries and however long, and it's inflated by, gold. That's like, I mean, truthfully, I don't see gold as a stored value anymore. It's slowly losing its appreciated value over time. So when I look at that overall, United States really has no leverage except of we dump hundreds of millions or billions, hundreds of billions of dollars into weapons. So we're investing in weapons while other countries are investing in cyber. They're investing in chemical. They're investing in different things. We're like, we just want to make stuff go boom. And they're like, we're just going to sit back and watch y'all go crazy when we cut your internet off because we hacked it 10 years ago.
Right. So if there was one thing that you would share with anyone who wanted to get into the space, who wanted to acquire the knowledge, where should they start? What's that first, question they should be asking themselves as they're sitting back and they hear so much about Metaverse, NFTs, crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these words? Where should they start?
First thing I was like, I'm not gonna give a typical answer and say YouTube like most people. They're like, just go to YouTube and type it in and start searching, because a lot of people on there, they're just trying to pump up what they're either A, already in, or B, partner with, right? So once again, this goes back to bias. I have no bias. I have no partnerships. I have no type of company, no company that I'm alluding to where I'm like, I gotta push traffic this way. I would just say personally to look into how this can affect your everyday life.
Wow.
Overall.
Wow.
How is this impacting your everyday life? And then how can you step into that to make your everyday life simpler? So how is cryptocurrency impacting your everyday life? How is Metaverse impacting your everyday life? Is it the fact that you know, you might not have something. Let's go to basic metaverse, right? Basic right now is like Oculus. You grab your Oculus VR, you could jump in like Oculus workrooms, you could jump in Horizon spaces. It's different stuff you can just download right to your Oculus, right? Oculus connect to your Facebook. So it's like, all right, cool. If you see majority of your team are meeting in, you know, Oculus Worlds, which is a virtual reality world, and they're like, oh, you're using the browser edition of it, so you can't really indulge. You're like, how can I make this, you know, impactful to my life in a better way? Let me just invest the money and go get me an Oculus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So do you foresee that as being like the next greatest technology?
What, virtual reality?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hold on now. You see that as being bigger than blockchain?
Absolutely. Well, it's gonna go hand in hand. It's gonna reach a point where it goes hand in hand. But yes, virtual reality. So virtual reality has a main stake because you don't necessarily have to be a developer to utilize the technology, right? Blockchain, in some instances, you need to understand a little bit more than basics to actually utilize it, right? You can simply just grab a crypto wallet, never give out your seed phrase, set it up. Now you can accept the crypto payments, right? You're like at a very, very, you're not even at stage one, in my opinion. You're like at like baby steps leading up to stage one. But it's like when you're jumping into virtual reality, now you're fully immersed into everything, because now you can see you got things like the Decentraland where you can go on and you can do online gambling. You can do online poker rooms, online anything really, sports betting. They have all of that stuff inside the Decentraland. You got stuff like Facebook that allows you to meet with people virtual reality. We could have did this whole podcast in VR, technically.
No, Josh doesn't have an Oculus.
No, that's what I'm saying. So like, you don't.
Someone clowned me earlier. Let me pull this up.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Dude in the head says, I would start investing in equipment if I were you. Dude on the left is making you look foolish. Hey, I'm catching up. I'm catching up. Okay, 100% true. I did see that.
I was like, sheesh. I'm like, that's a tough critic right there.
Yeah, I was going to incorporate it when fitting, and now is the time. That was funny though.
Hey, you know what? Yeah. I think we have arrived, Josh. Now
yes.
I think we have arrived, because I really don't think I'm doing anything till I at least get some haters. You know, I got to have at least one hater.
Yeah.
And if that hater is you today, I appreciate you showing up. Thank you.
100% true. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Don't interrupt my man's segment.
Oh, you good.
Right. I am looking to get even more into the blockchain space in the months to come, you know, and that's just being on a serious note. For all intents and purposes, this is definitely educational for those that don't know anything about it, that don't listen to some of the, whether it be other podcasts, whether it be other influencers. We have to take this chance, this opportunity, as if it was the last for us. And I say that, you know, you listen to Biden and he's talking about, you know, regulating crypto. Listen. It wasn't too long ago when we were having a conversation about Emancipation Proclamation from the president. It was that serious that the president of the United States felt he had to talk about it. Even more so, they had to have Congress to enact laws around it. This is important. It's not just something that a few guys in a dormitory somewhere are sitting around and coming up with these schemes and these ways in order to give value to things. This is going to literally change our very existence in the years to come. And that's how serious I am, that I want as many people as we are afforded to have conversations with, to partake, to hear some of this, you know, and it may not be spot on all the time. It may not be, because everybody has their own interpretation. Listen, if you go and you read any case law, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm just saying, I'm not a lawyer, but if you read any case law, it always says, in our opinion. The judge always says, in my opinion.
Exactly. I tell people that all the time when they like, oh, what does this court document say? I'm like, at the end of the day, a person can tell you, like, you can have an ongoing dispute against another person, right? And say, oh, we're going to let our lawyers handle it. All you're doing is paying your lawyers to give their basic interpretation of the knowledge on the paper. So if you have understanding of common English knowledge, you're able to interpret it in your own way and be able to say, hey, look, my interpretation of this is that. So then they're like, hey, my lawyer said, I don't care what your lawyer said. I'm telling you what I'm reading. I have conviction in what I just read. This is what I read. Your lawyer has his conviction in what he read.
Yep.
What's the common ground?
Yep.
And that's ultimately how court battles are won.
Yep.
Two lawyers go to battle. They're like, hey, I have this interpretation. I have this one. And then we meet in the middle at a common ground and we come up with a resolution because we have two different interpretations of the law.
Yeah. If there's one thing that you could possibly agree with, would it be the fact that moving forward, the value conversation continues to progress in this sense? We come from a time where cattle were value, beads were value. There's so many different mechanisms that have been of value, and now we're in a day and age where digital creations have now became value. I see this as an opportunity that anybody can literally jump in on ground one and build something elaborate from.
Yeah.
Do you see that as more or less the same situation within the space?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can see that. I mean, because like at the end of the day, the United States, we operate on debt, right? We operate on debt. We operate on proposed income of businesses. So a lot of stuff that the United States does is based off of the income of businesses that are here.
Right.
So what happens with cryptocurrency is they take that away. So now the United States is scared. This is why they want to implement these sanctions and stuff like that, because they want to be able to say, hey, you don't hide your income from us, because if you hide that from us, we can no longer borrow against this, this propped up dollar right here. We can no longer borrow against it, because if you hide your income, we have nothing to go against. Now the country's making less money. So yeah.
Think about that. And I'm gonna let you go. Listen. But real quick. So he basically said the United States has $5 over here. You have the ability to create $5 over here, $5 of value. Which one would you much rather have?
Ladder.
Yours or theirs?
Kevon,
my friend, definitely it has been a classic. Mm-hmm. I appreciate you taking our time today. I know that Kevon actually he trains in programming throughout the week for another organization, and I had to steal him today because I wanted him to come on and kind of shed some lights on the conversations that we've been having over this last season. So I thank you again. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon. All right, brother.
No problem. And you guys got any other questions? I mean, I'm pretty sure I missed a few.
And if that's the case, then tell us how we can actually, if there's someone that wants to follow you, how do they even link up with you?
Oh, shoot. You can hit me on Instagram, Kev Develops. That's Kev Develops, KEVDEVELOPS. You can also hit me on Twitter at Kev_codes. Those are pretty much the two easiest way to access me. Outside of getting my direct number, but
I know we're not gonna do that.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to do that for Mr. 100% True.
Yeah, I know that. I have all sorts of questions.
I mean, like I said, I'm always willing to come on and talk. Like I told you before, I've always wanted to do a podcast or just start one myself anyway. I've always wanted to talk on one, so it's pretty dope. I'm glad you hit me up earlier. Caught me in transit to empowerment plan earlier. I was in transit and I was like, oh yeah, I bet I'll do it. Then I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh shoot. I'm like, what did I just sign up for?
Everybody.
But it was overall great though, man.
Everybody does that, except for Josh and I. Listen, man, have a great one. Thank you, and I'll talk to you again soon. All right.
All right, sure, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Wow, great conversation right there. And Carlos, I'm curious, are you looking into courses pertaining to blockchain developers.
We
Do you
are.
have anything? Okay.
We are. And actually, I was having a conversation, and he may be on here soon.
Mhm.
Eric Weiss. If you remember, Eric was once our digital media instructor, lead digital media instructor. Well, Eric just landed a heck of a job, and he's working with a game development company, and they are doing gamification as well as building crypto platform into it. So we're going to have him come on in a short while to have a conversation about that and about how DSDT's student body would be afforded an opportunity as such. And actually, even as I'm saying it, it's like magical, because I remember Eric, when he first touched down here, he was telling me about how he was once at another university and they closed the program because they didn't see the future in gamification. So he came here, and if you remember, we had Thomas Hart at his own game company. And so now Eric is trying to say, listen, I shouted it from the rooftops way back when. Well, we're here now. I was just actually, I texted him this a little earlier, and he was telling me, well, maybe we can get it done within the month, because he's headed to Singapore with the company to meet one of their crypto investors. I said, wow, can you put me in the luggage? Can you put me in the luggage? I want to go,
Yeah.
So but definitely DSDT, from a educational standpoint, we are working on a blockchain developers course as well as a virtual reality environment course as well. What's the quickest way we can get people trained and get them in some of these opportunities? That's always been our motto. It's been our grind, our hustle. And so now, even though the technology to a degree has changed, the zeal hasn't changed. For us, it's just real simple. I just want as many people to know about it, to be able to do it, so that they can place themselves in better opportunities. And for the most part, it is what it is, right?
Bingo. Good stuff, brother. Good stuff. Well, my friend, that will do it for us. A great conversation today. Absolutely fabulous. So we got much more coming up next week. Glad to have you back.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah. Hey, Josh,
All right. Yes.
did you realize before we go, did you realize that this is actually episode number 9?
I did.
Man, we got content. We got content.
And a lot of interaction from our viewers today.
Absolutely. I'm gonna have to figure out a way. How do we NFT this? We got an NFT. We got to create an NFT around Tech School Podcast.
I like it. I like it. All right. More to come. Well, in the meantime, that would do it for the Tech School Podcast powered by DSDT. Carlos, I'm Josh. See ya.
See ya.